What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. I am Mel, and joining me as always is Ronnie, Big Smooth Hennigan. Smooth, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot, Mel. We took a little bit of time, and that's perfectly fine, man. I'm good that we did it. I'm glad to be back and look forward to the show, brother. What's going on with you?
Outside of looking at atrocity on your shirt, I'm doing very well. Things happen. Things happen. Everybody got their things on.
Yeah.
I got my tribe hat on because I see our guest for the night.
I feel it. I feel it. Yeah, that's
I see
hot
our
right there, man.
I see our guest for the night. He capping in some way, literally. But while we speaking of our guest tonight, this man is a very good friend of mine. He's also a college teammate. Demario, what's happening, man?
What's up? How y'all doing, man? Thanks for having me. Thanks for
Oh, thanks
having
for
me.
being here, man.
All right. So before we get started, because I got to do this, I promised them I keep up with it. This episode is brought to you in part by Box Bands. Strength through resistance. Resistance is key. If you're a fighter, you just want to get back in shape, Box Bands is where it's at. Also, it's brought to you in part by Uncle Rico's Quarter Mile Challenge. Throwing over them
Oh
mountains,
man.
you know. He throwing over them mountains, man. You want to get your quarterback right, better have him play that game.
Bro, that never gets old, man. It never
Yeah,
gets old. Every time, man. It never gets old.
That shit, hey, man, it be like that, man. I be trying to tell y'all, man. Uncle Rico is where it's at, man. Y'all don't be wanting to hear me though, but it's cool. All right, so, uh, you know, Rio, it's been like 6 years, man, since we've been out of school and the school went under, man. What's been going on with you?
Man, I after all that happened, I jumped in semi-pro, and you know how the semi-pro thing is. Like, man,
Yeah,
if you ain't playing at the highest level in that semi-pro game, you might as well just play backyard football, man.
pretty
And
much, pretty
yeah,
much.
so I did 4 years of that, and went to nationals for 4 straight years. So I was at that high level of that. Went 2-2, and it's my time to go.
Hey, I am not mad at you, man. It don't help that your quarterback was our offensive coordinator, but
Ooh, I
uh,
forgot about
mm-mm.
that. Hey, now I'm coaching him. How does that sound?
Hey,
That's
man,
crazy. That's
I don't
crazy.
think that. Hey, deep down, I'm gonna be honest with you. With him, I don't think that goes over too well. But shout out to Coach AD anyway. He's
Hey,
still slinging that ball around.
Man, he the
it's funny you
goat.
mentioned
He the
that,
goat.
man. That sound like actually that's happened before, man. Remember Byron Russell and Kobe? They played side by side as teammates, and then all of a sudden Byron Russell was the coach of the Lakers, coaching
But
Kobe,
how long?
which was
But
weird.
how long did
That's
that
that.
last though?
That's that.
Oh, like
That
a
was
hot second,
hot second.
hot second, you know. But
Yeah.
first thing
And
came
for
to mind,
those, yeah. And for those wondering, me and Rio were college teammates down in Cincinnati at Ohio Midwestern College. Uh, needless to say, unbeknownst to us, school was going under. But the good thing about that is we ended up having from what research I could get, we ended up having like the best team in school history. Uh, I think we had like 9 players go Player of the Week for junior college. So it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bad.
No, it wasn't. Season was kind of fun. The season was fun, man. We go and we play hard. I mean, we went on a winning streak like 4 or 5 straight games, and then that's when people weren't getting no money and none of that. So
Yeah, where them checks at?
yeah,
Yeah, man. But I'm still heated about that Ashland game, man. I'm gonna just be upfront about that. Like, I don't have nightmares about it, but now it's just like, man, they really didn't want us to win that game.
mm,
we were supposed to win that. We were supposed to win that, but you know what they say. Don't put the game in the ref hands. Like, you know what I'm saying.
Man,
ain't
You know
that the
what they
truth?
say. You know what they
and
say.
that's exactly what happened too. All right. we don't have a lot to talk about, but we do have some big things to talk about. So we're gonna get started in the NFL. Uh, the AFC East and the AFC West, just like everybody else in the NFL, have pretty much did some improvements to each team. Buffalo, who took the division by storm after New England, pretty much left that skid mark after Tom Brady. It shows you. Yeah, I just got to say it. It shows you where New England was. And don't get me wrong, I love Cam Newton, love him to death. But it shows you the difference and the dynamic between Cam and Tom Brady. So, looking at the standings, New England was third place. Of course, the Jets, bottom of the barrel. Miami surprised everybody going 10-6 with second place, and Buffalo took it with 13-3. Going into this season, I know it's early. Training camp don't start for another month and a half. But going into this season, Smooth, what are you seeing out of this division that could change a lot in the upcoming season?
Well, with this division, I feel like New England's going to be stronger than they were previous year. I still don't think that they have enough to win the division. I still think the Bills own this division this year. But with New England, the difference is that I forget if it was 10 players or 12. It was like almost enough for a whole starting side of the ball of players that opted out due to COVID. So to have those guys back, you're at full force. The QB situation is a little bit weird, like you said, because they just put Cam Newton back, you re-sign Brian Hoyer, you draft Mac Jones, and then you got Jarrett Stidham, people forgot about, from Auburn. So you got two Auburn guys, because Cam got that championship there or whatever. But the thing is, man, like seeing what they have to do at QB is going to be a little weird because I feel like Cam had a year to kind of get into it, to kind of learn about the system and whatnot. So he'll be better on that front. But I question, like, who is left over to throw the ball to? You got Edelman retired now. Sure, they got some other guys up in there, but, like, that was a sure target. I mean, that dude was a sure target, for any quarterback. So it's going to be a little bit hard to adjust to that. And the way that they, play their game, Sonny Michel, I feel like, is not able to really shine under that offense, whatever their scheme is right now. It's like kind of hindering him a little bit. He's not looking like the same guy that we saw, playing alongside Chubb at Georgia. So it's going to be interesting, man. I feel like the Bills definitely will take the division again. It won't be as easy, I don't think, as last year, but I still feel like they'll come out on top of the AFC East.
Rio, what about you?
I had to agree with Smooth, man. It's the Bills. The Bills to lose it. I feel like Josh Allen, they got their crew, they got their timing down, and that defense, that Bills defense, you know what I'm saying? And I think the Dolphins is a sleeper, man. They can finish first and be like, wow, you know what I'm saying? It just depends on that quarterback. If that because he was a rookie last year and he didn't go through training camp or none of that, and he finished 10-6. Even though they had a Magic Fitzpatrick, but I feel like the Dolphins defense got better, and they got a young receiver. I think the Patriots is, like he said, they don't. Cam Newton need receivers. He needs, you know what I'm saying, one of the top. I don't know. That division can go up. You see, I ain't say nothing about the Jets. They
yeah, we're not even going to mention that.
But
don't even worry about them.
It's the Bills division. The Dolphins can be a sleeper. And the Patriots is the Patriots still. I can't count them out either.
You know what? I'm gonna probably be the one that steps out on faith here. I agree with the Patriots. The Patriots got work to do because clearly that defense was beat up. They were missing people because of COVID opt-outs. Cam needs receivers, but just as well as anybody else, the Patriots are very well at finding people in free agency.
Very true.
Not even gonna touch the Jets. We already agreed to that, so we're just gonna leave them where they are. But I honestly feel like the Dolphins may just win the division this year. And let's look at reality here. It was a game that stood out last season that I don't think a lot of people really paid attention to just because
Mm-hmm.
of who they were playing. And it was the Chiefs game. Now, if everybody remembers the Chiefs game, uh, they put a lot of heat on Mahomes. Like Mahomes hadn't seen that kind of heat since he was in college playing against Oklahoma and them. And they caused him to throw interceptions just based off the offensive line not being where they should have been, and the defensive line from Miami being so good at rushing forward and everybody else drop off in the coverage. I I feel like Tua will have a big improvement this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think people are looking for him to have that improvement, but it's there. They have a running game, they have receivers. It pretty much instead of the no-name defense, this is the no-name offense, in my opinion, because the only person you know is Tua. And with that being said, they got a lot to prove. They were second place in the division, and had it not been for those two games against Buffalo and that Kansas City game, we're looking at another 13-3 team.
Mhm.
So, you know, I really feel like Miami can actually win this division. If that defense gets any better, Josh Allen gonna have some issues because he can't run forever. So,
And guys, here's something that I forgot to throw in there too with that. Um, when I was looking at this, because every division, always has a different division that they all are going to play against. So one factor we should consider too with this as well is the fact that the AFC East has to play everybody in the NFC South this season. So
ooh,
with that, that
that's
actually
ugly.
can help with your point. That can help with your point though for the Dolphins because you figure if you're throwing the NFC South in the mix, right? You got the Falcons, you got the Panthers, the Buccaneers, and the Saints. Okay. Saints, I'm not sure how they're going to look without Breeze. You got Jameis Winston is starting. Is that the starters
Yeah,
right now still?
I
There's that.
believe it's between him and Taysom Hill, and I think
I like Hill.
they don't they don't want to say it out loud, but I think Hill will probably end up being the starter by the time the season rolls around.
And there's a lot that he can do to create more plays, too, that people forget about. So I like his style, too. Then you got the Falcons who are going downhill right now. You just traded away Julio, obviously.
Man,
And then you got some other
man,
things you got to figure out defensively. I don't see them having a good season. The Texans are imploding, right? So you got them two teams. It's like, okay, maybe these are two W's we can guarantee. And then you figure with the Buccaneers, you're coming off of a Super Bowl winning season, obviously. That's going to be a game to watch for sure. I can't wait for the matchup with the Bills and the Bucks. It's going to be awesome to see, and a couple of other ones you got out there. So I think that's going to be a test is to see how well these teams in the division do against the NFC South as well. I think it's going to be like a little bit of a wrench thrown in there, where last season they had to worry about that, but this is like okay, you got let's say okay. So prime example, right, with the Bills. I'm just going to throw it out there. Bills' first game was against Pittsburgh, right? Then you play the Dolphins. Then you play the Washington football team. That's a lot in the first 3 weeks if you think about it,
man, it's the
offensively or
Redskins. I
defensively.
keep telling you.
But their defense is crazy right now. Now the
Yeah, it
offensive side of the
is.
ball is going to try to catch up a little bit, but to have those three different teams in the first 3 weeks is going to be a test for sure, right? They got the firepower. We know they can probably get it done, but it's not going to be easy those first 3 games. So you have
Of
that,
course not.
and then you hit the Texans, then you hit the Chiefs. So they got a decent little schedule. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, man. I'm very excited, and I just thought about that when you were talking. I'm like, oh man, the NFC South they playing against this year, so that's going to change a lot of things too.
Now, I want everybody else to keep in mind with this because this is an interesting stat that a lot of people don't pay attention to.
Hmm.
And if you're a betting man, you should pay attention to something like this. There's two teams in the AFC East that have the same identical record in one specific area, and that was the away games.
Ooh.
Both, well, it wasn't identical. It was a game apart. So both Buffalo and Miami went 6-2 and 5-3 respectively.
In
So
away games.
yes, so
Wow.
Buffalo almost went undefeated had they not lost two games. And Miami, that's always been Miami's kryptonite. Anytime they're away from Miami or away from hot weather, they kind of struggle. But the fact that they were only a game apart, that shows you that gap that we're looking at between Buffalo and Miami ain't too far apart. And I think I honestly believe Miami can close that gap this season. And if they do, I don't know if Buffalo can hold on down the stretch.
Let me ask you this, Mel. With you saying that, because Mario, I know that you're pretty familiar with this too as well, man. So the trap games, man. Let's talk about that. So let's look at week 2. You got the Bills at the Dolphins, right? And you talk
Trap
about
game
the hot
already.
weather, right?
Yeah,
Because that early in the
always do that.
season,
Yes.
that early in the season game, bro. Because the things we always think about, okay, you got teams coming up north. They're playing in, like, let's say, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, New England, places that we know have some crazy weather late in the season, right? But we never think about early in the season, right? So early in the season when it's hot as hell and it's blistering heat and the humidity is as high as it can be, and you in Miami out there playing, man, knowing you that came all the way from Buffalo, you're going to be melting, right?
It's a done
And that's
deal,
no
man.
excuse. No
Oh,
excuse, right?
That's damn a
But
good excuse.
one team trained in it. The other team was like, oh, man, it was just
yeah,
72 degrees last week. I'm feeling good with the air off the water and all that stuff. It's really cool. And
But you know what? I don't think
wear the
that'll really
Gatorade.
be too much. I don't think that'll really be too much of an issue considering the dynamics of how Hard Rock Stadium is built. It's a lot of shade. It's a retractable roof.
Yeah, it's
You know,
retractable.
I
Yeah,
do,
I
I
like that.
do think Miami will hold that roof open just to fuck with Buffalo a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah, you have to. You have to.
But
Got to.
but I don't.
Yeah.
But the way that Hard Rock's built, I think it provides a lot of shade. So I don't know if the weather will have too much of a factor. But that is a good point because I don't. You hardly ever see a cold weather team really have a big issue playing down south. Hardly ever.
Yeah, true.
Well, the Patriots,
I mean, but
Tom
that
Brady
was
always, not always, but 9 out of 10 he was losing in Miami.
yeah because
Yeah, them
I keep
Dolphins
telling
games
people.
was rough.
Yeah, but I kept telling people, man,
Ooh.
Miami is a thorn in his side. He can't stand
Yeah, it
Miami
is.
for whatever reason. For whatever reason, they get one on him. If that's the only game they win all year, that's against Tom Brady.
Really, though. Seriously, man. Yeah, that game was rough, though, for them. Like, you figure
I do,
every
I
single
do
time they
think,
played.
yeah, I do think that early Miami game. I do think for everybody, and ironically, the AFC North does not have this problem this year with early divisional games
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think the Browns see Pittsburgh till like week 12 or something like that.
Yeah, it's late this year. It's real late.
So, I think for Buffalo, if they can survive, even if they lose that game, if they can keep that game close, I think that'll show where they are as far as where the division, who's going to win the division. So
I can see that.
I think if they survive that first trap game, because that's really what it is. It's a trap game.
Yeah,
You got to
it
see the
is.
Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see the Dolphins that early, and you look at like the Browns schedule, and the Browns don't see nobody, not Baltimore, not the Bengals, till the second half of the season, late in the season. Like that's something that would be on your mind as
Yeah, it is.
to me as a Buffalo player. That would stick with me because
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. We gotta
wait a
get this.
minute. Yeah, like they don't see nobody till the second half of the season, till December. We got to see these dudes early. Like that would bother me. I'd be upset.
Feel it, man.
All right, moving on. We move towards the West, and we gonna call it what it is. For the last 3 years, Kansas City has had a stranglehold on the AFC West, and this past season was no different as they went 14-2, and pretty much was basically what 8, 9, what 8 games, 7, 8 games ahead of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Vegas is so awkward saying that, but Vegas came in at a strong 8-8, but and the Chargers was right behind them, and Denver is Denver. They're still looking for a quarterback. They're still trying to rebuild that offense. I think they're still trying to hold on to the John Elway days. I can't prove that, but uh, what I'm thinking, I don't think this changes much. I think the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs go 14-2, but I do think they win the division. I think the Raiders will have improved. The Chargers were
Mm-hmm.
not far behind the Raiders, and everybody's got an extra game this year. Let's throw that.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
throw that in there. It's a
True.
17 game season now, so everybody's got an extra game, and I honestly think that this extra game helps out Vegas and it helps out the Chargers in the race to see if they can take down Kansas City. Like, let's look at reality last year. The Raiders were the first team to take down Kansas City. And it's no secret, the Raiders Chargers rivalry has not really went away. It ain't died down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sold on I'm not excuse me. I'm not sold on Denver. I'm not. I'm just gonna call it like I see it. I'm not sold on them. I'll give them a 6-10, 6-12, maybe 6-11. I don't I don't see them getting out of the basement anytime soon. But I like to know where you guys stand as far as the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers go.
Okay. Um, Now here's where it gets interesting. I had about a 1 game difference for Denver. I gave them 7-10. Um, as far as the Chiefs go, I definitely got them winning the division. Um, I don't see them with the whole 20-0 thing that Mahomes is talking about.
Hell yeah.
And the main reason for that is because this is going to be one of the most battle tested divisions in the league this year. And you want to know why? Because the AFC West has to play the AFC North.
Mm.
All four teams. Yeah, dog. It's going to be the most battle tested division. This one. So you got all these teams you're playing up against in your own division. Then you got the AFC North you got to worry about 4 games. Okay. You're going to be battle tested this year. Okay. So that's why I'm like, ain't no 20-0 happening for the Chiefs. It's not. It's not.
Hell
Somebody
no.
from our division is going to take them
Mm.
out. It
Yeah.
could be
I,
either one of our teams. So here's the
I,
thing.
I I'm still not to cut you off, but I'm still baffled at where the idea of 20-0 came from. Like
He
in
he
the
think he gonna just
NFL, it don't
run.
happen often.
It don't. It don't. And the fact here's another thing. You're counting. You're sitting up here counting. You got your regular season, then you're like, all right, I'm gonna take all these postseason games too. And you're like, okay, so you're just gonna say that we're gonna go 17-0 during the regular season, and we're gonna sweep through everybody to get to the Super Bowl and win that too. Okay, that's very cocky thing to say right now. You know what I'm saying? Especially considering, right? You're gonna have a rematch with a team that took you out the game. Okay, first game. Then you have the Ravens to worry about on your schedule. Was going to be there anyway because they like to put the Ravens against the Chiefs. That's just a game everybody wants to see. Then you got to worry about Pittsburgh, and you're going to see a little bit of Cincinnati as well too. Now you got all four of them to deal with this season. Last season was like a couple of them. You're like, whatever, you know. This season you got all four. He talking a lot. He talking a lot. Now, can he back it up? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? But we got to see. We got to see how it plays out. As far as the Chargers and the Raiders go, man, I got them about a game difference. I had the Chargers at about 8-9, Raiders 9-8. We'll kind of see what happens with that. And the only reason why I got them like that is because of our division. Just saying, man, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
Now with the Broncos, like you said, I'm not really sold on them either. New quarterback situation. Teddy Bridgewater's there now. We'll see how he fits into their game plan, if they utilize him or whatever, or if he's even starting first week. So that's up in the air right now too. They have no idea. But yeah, Chiefs take this division again. Won't be easy. I got them possibly dropping 3 games. We'll see what happens with that too. So I don't know, man. I'm definitely not
Now,
sold on Denver. That's the 4th place team for me in that division.
Rio, what about you?
Man, hey, did Deshaun Watson came out and say he want to go to Denver? Or was I just seeing stuff? You know, they post stuff on social media, and I'll be like, you want to go to Denver?
He was talking that, yeah, he was saying something. It's funny because he said something, man. Rogers said something too.
Yeah,
like, What about Denver that y'all want to go to Denver? What's in Denver?
Skiing, weed.
Man, that's probably it.
There you go.
Ooh,
the latter.
Yeah. So if they get one of them, then I change it up. But right now, the Chiefs winning. The Chiefs got it. They not going 20-0, but I feel like they might go 12-4. What is it? How many? 17 games this year, so 13-4 or 12-5. They get on one of them. The Ravens definitely gonna get their rematch. I feel like Ravens gonna get their rematch on the Chiefs this year. It's just time. The Steelers, I don't think the Steelers gonna beat them. My Bengals might beat them last game of the season. You never know. You know what I'm saying?
Only if it's garbage time.
Yeah. Hey, that's what I. With the Browns can go 50-50 because the Browns.
Yeah.
They
got the same thing with that.
It can go 50-50 with where they play the Browns at. I didn't even look at the schedule. Like if they play the Browns in Cleveland,
that game is
I believe that game's in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's in Cleveland.
Okay.
No, actually, it's at home. No, it's in Kansas City.
Kansas City. Okay.
Only because they won the playoff game. That's probably they give them the advantage.
Yeah. Las Vegas is 8-8 or whatever you want to say. They average team. I don't think they in Vegas. I mean, they not concentrating on football. Like, come on now. They new stadium. The fans. This their first year, and I'm going to the game too when the Bengals play them. I'm going out there. The Chargers. The Chargers is coming up. They make the playoffs. The Chargers make the playoffs this year.
I can see that.
Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, and
that's
Denver.
A bold statement.
I can see that though. I can see them being number 2 in the division. Yeah, I give you that. I give you that. They slide in there. Yeah, okay. All right.
The Chargers.
Okay. Now here, let me throw this in there. Because this goes right with this, since we talking about the Chiefs and all of that, right? So Travis Kelce, being a Cleveland Heights dude, right? He says that he feels, because he had to kind of like pull back a little bit since he playing for the other team, you know.
Okay.
With his Indians gear on while he was being interviewed, by the way. He was like, you know, because he can't wear this, man. He can't, you know, he can't. The thing is, like he said, he feels the Chiefs and the Browns are neck and neck. What are both of you guys' thoughts on that? Because that's a strong statement to say after the last game.
I'm gonna let Rio take that one first. I'm gonna let Rio go at it.
I think it is, man, because if y'all get Odell back and Baker, he's getting smarter and smarter. Y'all made the playoffs. Y'all beat the Steelers in the playoffs. Did y'all beat the Steelers back to back? Did y'all?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
See. So, I forget you're a Steelers fan.
Man, shut up.
No, here we go.
Man.
You know what?
Here we go.
What? Let me finish this. Let me finish this. All right. But I can see that though. I can see that the Chiefs defense, you can tell the O-line, we seen it in the Super Bowl. They choked. You know what I'm saying? In the Super Bowl. So I can see what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? We might not see that because we fans, but I'm thinking of a player mindset. Like, okay, I see it.
No, I was gonna give you one of these, but I'm gonna take it back.
Oh man!
I'm gonna take it back. Only because we boys, man. We shared a whole locker room together. You was my safety. I'm gonna take it back. But To go with what Kelsey said, I'm gonna go back to what Stephen A. Smith said last season.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest threat to the Chiefs are the Browns. And he is absolutely right. Kelsey must have saw what the Browns have been doing in the offseason, and he must have been paying attention hard because what did I keep saying last season? It was the Browns' only weak link. It was a secondary. What do? They improved that secondary, and that secondary that in because of that secondary and the draft that they just had, they went from a top 20 defense to now a top 10 defense. And I have no problem saying that because Jeremiah Owusu and Smith on the same field. Now you got to first off, you got a linebacker that can run down running backs because if we saw last year in the college season, Owusu was the only linebacker to actually run down Travis Etienne. And Travis Etienne is in Jacksonville. Secondly, yeah, he was one of the fastest linebackers at the combine. Secondly, now you have a defensive line that you need to worry about. And I'm not saying that to be funny. You absolutely need to worry about. Jadeveon Clowney, let's call it, let's just once he knew JJ Watt was leaving, he checked out. He played hard. Yeah. He played hard, but he checked out. Yep. He knew he had no help. Getting double teamed. You knew he was getting double teamed. Once he found out Watt was leaving and Watt's over in Arizona, he checked out. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but as we all know as players, once we know something like somebody that helped us is gone, it takes away what we're good at. And Ray Lewis said it best when Tony Siragusa retired. When Siragusa retired, I lost my ability to be great. Not all the way, but you got a nose tackle that's taking up two people and a running back. You ain't got to work that hard. Miles Garrett now has a complimentary defensive end who can still play at a high level. And I guarantee you, y'all, for those watching or those that believe that Clowney don't have it no more, Clowney was waiting for the right situation. Had the money been right last season, he'd have been in Cleveland last season, and it probably would have made a bigger difference. They probably would have won 2 more games. On top of that, Richardson may be coming back.
Man,
Sheldon Richardson has not signed with anybody. So that lets you know he's giving the Browns an opportunity to figure out the money or figure out the years in the contract to come back. So your front seven is set. All you had to do was get your secondary set. You got Denzel Ward. You got the guy from the Rams. You got Harrison. You have an entire secondary now. That secondary is complete.
And you got rid of Sandeo.
I liked him. You know what I'm saying? I liked it.
Bro.
Yeah, he gave y'all a chance in that game. I'm telling you, he kept y'all in the game, boy. That boy is, Lord.
Rio, what you don't realize is that in Cleveland they made a whole petition, and this asshole that's on the other side of my screen, he actually signed it on air. They literally had a petition to get Sendejo out of Cleveland, and he signed it on the air.
I went online and signed it on air, and I gave everybody the link and everything. I said, here's where you go. I told them what the status was and how many signatures was on there. And I hope more people did.
You talk about diming somebody out, bro.
Man, he was, the plays, man.
Man.
God, every time the ball went in the air going deep, I was like, please don't be in that area. Oh, he's in the area. Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
You talk about diming somebody out, man. This guy right here signed a whole petition on the air. I've never in the history.
That's a real fan. That's a real fan. Got to get all the bads out, right?
I felt the fandom at that moment too.
In almost 2 years of being on the show or being on the air, I've never seen anything like that. It's rough.
And we try to be very unbiased. I was not at that moment. I was like, forget this. Okay, we doing this live. I didn't care. Did not care. Nope. I'll do it again. I would do it again. You know what? I will say this though. I'm not gonna
I
bash him
believe
too
it.
hard. I'm gonna say this though. He wasn't as bad in Minnesota. It worked for him there. In Cleveland, no,
But it's two
absolutely
totally
not.
different. It's two totally
Two
different
totally different
systems, man.
schemes.
He don't
Absolutely, and I
fit.
agree with
He
that.
didn't fit Joe. Let's just be honest. He didn't fit Joe Woods' defense. He didn't.
Nope. Rodney
But he
Harrison
was.
jumped in real quick too.
But he was there by default. He had the most experience. Playing under
Yeah.
Stefanski over in Minnesota. So it made sense. I get it. It
And we
made
and we
sense
didn't
to
have
bring him
Delpit
over.
last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had
But
no
at the
Delpit,
same
so
time, it's like you gotta understand. Sendejo wasn't cutting it, man. Sendejo was not that guy.
nah.
He just wasn't that guy.
That's the
All
kind
right.
of guy that Burrow love to see. Puts 500 up on him. You know, him and Dak was eating, man, in them games. Just eating. Him
Man,
and Dak
wasn't
was
they though?
him and Dak was eating, boy. Ooh,
They
that was
was
Dak's
though.
best game last year.
They
Man.
were.
Oh
They
man.
were.
Ooh, he was eating. Mhm.
All right. So with the NFL out the way, we're gonna move on to the bigger one. NCAA football. Now, last
Yeah,
season, the
buddy.
NCAA celebrated 150 years of college football, which was a great thing. I love the fact that college football is one of our oldest sports, even surpassing pro football by 50 years.
Hey.
Now we come to the dilemma and the big conversation that we've all been looking for, and that is for the college football playoff to expand from 4 teams to 12 teams. Now, the proposal behind this and the discussion and the vote is supposed to go down next week. It's a 12-team format. So 12 teams, no automatic qualifiers. So nobody in the college football in the FBS gets an automatic bid. No group of five, no power five, nobody. The top the top six teams, which I'm assuming would be conference champions, will
Mhm.
get the first top six slots. The next top six slots will be the six highest ranked teams decided by the college football playoff committee. I've heard the big wigs, I'll call them, guys over at ESPN, guys over at Fox Sports. I've heard some, not all of them. I've heard some disagree with this. So I want to hear from you two, being that we all play college football. Where do you see this, and how would you want this to go?
I'm gonna let
Go
you
ahead,
go
Smooth.
first on this one, Demar.
Oh, you want me to go?
Okay,
All right,
all right.
I go. I don't like I don't like 12. You know what I'm saying? There's really not 12 teams in college football that can compete. 8,
Mhm.
yes, I can see that. You know what I'm saying? Because my hometown team, Cincinnati, gave Georgia a run for their money. You know what I'm saying?
That was a good ass game.
And I feel
That's a
like
good game.
teams like UC and uh, like teams like that can compete. But 12 teams that you'll add like BYU in there. If
Hmm.
BYU play LSU or somebody like that, I mean they can compete, but it's you know SEC football is still SEC football. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
12 teams is a lot. 8 teams, I can deal with 18. You pick your top 8. You throw Texas in there, one. Oklahoma, one of them teams. Like you know what I mean. But you can't be throwing no like Memphis or saying like a team that have a one good year and you throw them in there and they play Alabama. It's like nobody wants to see that, man. Spread be 28, 30. Like you gonna say nobody wants to see that, man.
Yeah, I see you.
Hey, all right, go ahead. I'm still new at this. I ain't know this.
No, I'm with. You know what? I'm with that because with the 12, I feel like I would like to see the 8 first, just to see how it plays out, and then maybe go to 12 later if there's a need for that. Reason I'm saying that's because, like you said, to your point, if we did an 8, Cincinnati would have been in there. They definitely gave Georgia a good game. That was a great game, actually. I love that. But then you got teams like Coastal Carolina, and you're like, okay, y'all had a banging ass season, right? That season was great for them, you know. Can they repeat that? I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? But if you go to a 12-team scenario, you got a team like that jumping in there. You start to see the Pac-12 again, because the Pac-12 definitely will be in there if you have a 12-team type of situation. Which
Are
for
you
me,
sure?
well, maybe
I,
not
I
because
want
strength
I,
of
I
schedule
want
may
you to
play into
be
this a little bit.
I want you to be confident in your response because I'm looking up a stat and it's gonna blow your mind. So are you sure?
I feel like maybe one Pac-12 team gets in there. One.
Okay, continue. I'll wait.
I'll say
I'll wait my
one.
turn. I'll wait for my
So,
turn.
maybe a Pac-12 team get back in there, some other school that we haven't seen or hasn't got much love. Like, let's say, and this is too far back to really even matter, but just to throw it in there, like the old, UCF that we had a few years back or whatever that went undefeated. Teams like that, you give them a chance to get in there and say, okay, you say you can bang with the big boys. Let's see if you can bang with the big boys. Will they come out on top? Maybe not. I don't know. But let's see what that looks like, right? Maybe that does something for like recruiting or something. But I just think over the grand scheme of it all, the 8-team situation just feels a lot better to me as well. And maybe the 12 comes later on after that if they need it. But I like the 8 over 12 right now, just because it's so lopsided, man. I feel like it's going to be just real, Big Ten, SEC heavy, and a couple of other teams here and there from some conferences that are up and coming. But I don't know, man. I think the 8 would be nice starting out to see how that looks too.
HBU team, you know what I'm saying? They get in there, they go undefeated.
For sure.
All right. I'm gonna start by saying I agree with this, and I waited on this since the CFP started back in 2014.
hmm
I wrote about this on our website. I'm sticking with this. This is the best idea they came up with in 150 years. Let's take a look back just to give those watching a brief history of college football. For the first 99 years of college football, we had the CFA, which is the College Football Association. Now, what these guys did was whoever finished number one and number two played a better bowl game and won was usually the national champion. Now, the problem with that was there was usually a split national championship between the CFA's national champion and the Associated Press's national champion. That happened last time in 1997 with a split national championship between Nebraska and Michigan. Now, that led us to the BCS the next year. You had problems with the BCS. The BCS was so flawed it wasn't even fucking funny. You had teams that didn't belong in the BCS, but because they won and their schedule was shitty, but the team that they beat ended up beating another team that happened to be good. They ended up
Right.
finishing in the high ranking. And then we created what was called the BCS Busters. Utah, Boise State. And in one case, you got Hawaii, even though they got thrashed in the Sugar Bowl by Georgia. So that was a flawed system. Now you got the CFP. At least, and we've had this argument with people who make comments on our show all the time. We've had this
hmm
argument, and nobody has yet to prove me wrong. The CFP is the closest we've come to getting the best 4 teams in the country to play for a national championship. I'd say what this is 2021, so I would say 4 out of the last 6 years that this has been in existence, the top 4 teams have been in the CFP. Sorry, it's been Alabama. Sorry, it's been Clemson. Sorry, it's been Ohio State. But until somebody beats them and beats them convincingly, it's not going to change. So, with that being said, here's last season's top 12, which will give you an idea of the top what would have been a top 12 bracket for the CFP if there was a top 12 bracket. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Florida, Cincinnati, Georgia, Iowa State, Indiana, and Coastal Carolina. That was the final CFP ranking. From 1 to 12, that's exactly how it went. Here's the AP top 25 because you know the AP does play a part in the CFP rankings. Bama, O State, Clemson, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Georgia, Cincinnati, Iowa State, Northwestern, BYU, and Indiana. That was last season's AP top 25. But those were the top 12 finish.
Wow.
Now, I'm saying this, and I'm saying why I agree with this because this is the what if scenario we all wanted. This was I said it was three things that college football always had: controversy, chaos, and the debate. Here's the controversy. If we go by the college football playoffs ranking, why does Indiana and Coastal Carolina get in? Okay, here's the answer to that. Indiana was the only team to lose to Ohio State and still actually have a good showing. They almost beat Ohio State.
Yeah,
Coastal Carolina went undefeated. Their signature win of that season was against BYU, who they have never beaten. And they beat them at home in one of the most exciting games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the controversy. That was the chaos. Here's the controversy. Why does Ohio State get in with 6 wins? Why is Indiana or why is Cincinnati ahead of Georgia with 9? They were 9-0. Okay, here's the controversy. Here's the controversy answer. First off, Ohio State demolished every team up until they saw Indiana. They ran through every team. They canceled the Ohio State-Michigan game, not just because of COVID, but we all knew that ass whooping was coming. We all knew that. We all saw that. It was no secret. It was no secret.
Ugly.
Okay, now you go to Cincinnati. Cincinnati won the American Conference and had to play the same team that they had just beat a week ahead of time in Memphis. They had to see him twice back-to-back weeks. So, who do you pair up against that? And then if you look at the bowl game, Cincinnati almost beat Georgia had it not been for a missed field goal. I believe it was a missed field goal. Had it not been for a missed field goal, Cincinnati beats Georgia. That in the BCS era, that would have been your BCS buster right there. Iowa State beat Oklahoma. Even though they lost to them in the championship game, they still beat them in the regular season. Notre Dame had one loss. That loss was to Clemson in the ACC championship game. Notre Dame was also the only team to beat Clemson in the regular season. Now, what happens, since we want controversy, what happens if Notre Dame doesn't join the conference? They don't make it. And they held their own. And they held their own in the ACC. That was the question. Could they hold their own? They did. They beat Miami. They beat North Carolina. They beat Clemson. Those were the top 3 teams you needed to worry about in that conference. Alabama, it's Alabama. We don't need to say nothing. Nick Saban got a stranglehold on the SEC. We already know that. So
and you got a contract extension.
Exactly. He got more money. He got more money than he know what to do with right now.
$12 million a year.
So what here and here's the debate. Just based off the college, I'm gonna keep the college football playoff ranking up. Just based off those top 12 teams. You get every question answered that you want, that you had going into the season. Cincinnati plays in an inferior conference. Could they hold their own? They almost beat Georgia in the bowl game. Okay. Can Iowa State have another good season against Oklahoma, compete with Oklahoma and Texas? I believe they could. Indiana.
They're coming back.
Can Indiana, unfortunately, they play in the same division as Ohio State, but can Indiana keep pace with Ohio State? Yes, they can. Who's going to repeat? Can Coastal Carolina repeat? Yeah, they can. Your top five teams are SEC, ACC, Big Ten, Independent / ACC in the terms of Notre Dame, and Big 12. Those are the conferences you got questions about every year going into the season. Only conference we don't talk about for real is the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 shits a brick every year. USC was supposed to make it. They lost. Oregon ends up going off a technicality because Washington has COVID.
Yeah, that
That's
was
literally
terrible.
what happened. That's
yes,
that's
yes.
and they go in there and beat the shit out of USC, who everybody thought was gonna make it into the CFP.
Mhm.
Well, there's your debate right there. Can the Pac-12 make it to the CFP for the first time since it started? That's the question you got.
I
Every
think
other
I
question,
think I think they can.
I think
Did
they
they
can
go?
too, but
They didn't go
they
their first
they
year.
yeah, Oregon, and then they
Oregon.
saw Oregon had the unfortunate the misfortune of running into Ezekiel Elliott, JT Barrett, and Cardell Jones in the championship.
Yeah, that was. Ooh, yeah, that
So
was bad.
you have not, as a conference, you have not made it since you started the CFP back in 2014. Everybody else has had at least one team in the
Wow.
CFP. Everybody else. It's been an SEC team in Bama, it's been an ACT team in Clemson, and a Big Ten team in Ohio State. And just for the sake of argument, Oklahoma went in a couple years back. And now you got Notre Dame, technically an ACC team, but we all know they're going back independent. So I think this was due. This was long overdue because just like the BCS was supposed to give everybody a chance, the minute Hawaii got beat on in the Sugar Bowl, they said, "Nah, we're gonna grade y'all a little tougher because y'all didn't have a good showing and y'all made yourselves look bad." Now you can't say that because the Coastal Carolina hit number 12, BYU hit number 12. Dare I say, I'll even go further than that. Let's say Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. What happens if they make it to number 12? San Jose State, they went undefeated too. So the minute these teams make it undefeated, you know, the minute that these make it and the top 10, the top 12 stays the way it is, what are you going to say then? Oh, they don't deserve to be there. Okay. So what if somebody knocks off Georgia? What if somebody knocks off Ohio State in the first round? Then what?
Man,
Yeah.
exciting
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Exciting
What
year.
what if just for the sake of this discussion, what if Cincinnati come in next year after we all saw the one player sitting and looking at the Georgia celebrate after they won? What if he motivate the whole team and that whole team go undefeated and they come out and beat the shit out of Oklahoma in the first round?
Possibility there too, for sure.
What are you? Luke Fickell is an Ohio State alumni. Luke Fickell was an Ohio State coach. You don't think this man know how to recruit?
I see it.
Ryan Day. Here's a stat for you. Ryan Day has once again the top recruiting class in 2022. You don't think he's trying to compete with Nick Saban or Dabo Swinney? This is where it's going, and it's needed to go this way. And I'm happy it went this way. Although, assuming that this gets voted on and it passes, it wouldn't happen till 2025, which is fine. But recruiting classes are they coming in earlier and earlier. These schedules is getting harder and harder. Case in point, Ronnie, I told you this. We were on the phone with Grambling State. Southern and Grambling go to LSU for the first time ever in history in back-to-back years. Next year in 23. You don't think now that Deion Sanders is down in Jackson State and Eddie George is over at Tennessee State that the recruiting ain't about to get stronger in the HBCUs? What if one of them knocks off LSU? Now LSU can't go to the college playoff because they done lost to an HBCU. If the possibilities are there, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying the talk is overdue. It was overdue with the BCS. It was overdue with the CFA. The only I said I wasn't gonna bring it up, but it's looking like it's going that way. But the only reason that this even got to where it is because the money was always there. The money was always there, so there was no need to go to a playoff, which is fine. Okay, I get it. But now you got teams mad, you got fans mad, you got everybody pissed off over a system that you know is flawed. You knew it was flawed when you created it.
True. Very true.
And on top of that, three other divisions in college football don't have the same problems you have. SES runs a playoff, D2 runs a playoff, D3 runs a playoff. And whatever problems they have get fixed before the next season.
That's what they should look at.
Right. So, with that being said, why does everybody have a problem with this when they know the same thing we already know? We ain't even working for ESPN. That system, every system they came up with was flawed. This was something that was needed. And even now, with the system that's in place now, you still got issues because everybody's complaining about the same four teams. Okay, well, guess what? What do you have? What did Ric Flair say? What's Ric Flair's famous saying? To beat a man, you got to beat the man. Ain't nobody beat Ohio State. Ain't nobody beat Clemson. Ain't nobody beat Alabama. If you beat these teams, it gets harder and harder for them to make it to the playoff. It gives everybody else a chance. If you can't beat them, you can't complain.
Nope. It makes the recruiting harder too if you don't beat them.
Right.
You know.
Man, I keep telling people, y'all need to. The people we argue with, I'll say that. Keep telling them, y'all don't pay attention to this stuff, man. We was arguing with. Go ahead.
For the record, somebody knocking Georgia off next season. I can tell you that right now. Is they need another year. Next year it ain't happening. Because they here's the thing. Because when you get a quarterback on the level of Brock Vandegrift, and you know you're not going to start him next season, I pray that it's not the same situation that happens with how we saw them handle, their previous QB, and then you had Justin Fields on the sideline. So that's kind of like what I've been thinking about looking at that team and saying, okay, what you gonna do? Are you really gonna continue to roll with JT Daniels, or are you going to get a young guy, the 5-star that you have all this hope in, his opportunity a little earlier? That's to be seen. Because the receiving core is there now. It's all about that QB, man. They're back in the same situation they were 5 years ago. Which QB you gonna roll with?
I get
this
it.
This is where Smart falls short, man. So I don't know. But somebody knocking him off next year. I'll tell you that right now.
Here's the thing. What if he makes a smart decision this year?
Oh, I hope so. God,
look, man. Look, it's already been proven. A bunch of weird shit happened during COVID season. We did not expect to happen. I can see Kirby Smart making a smart decision here. So it won't surprise me. But my thing was, everybody's worried about, what these top 12s will look like. And based off last season's top 12, you're right. It is Big Ten, ACC, and SEC heavy. Got at least two teams from each conference in. But at the same time, it was balanced because every team that was in the top 12 that I just read off was either the first or the second team in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
I think about it. Bama almost loses to Florida. Florida was number 7 in the final ranking. Clemson beats Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the number 2 team in the conference. Texas A&M loses to Oklahoma, but because Oklahoma lost twice, Texas A&M jumped them. They're the top 2 teams in the conference. Ohio State and Indiana. If Indiana don't play in the East with Ohio State, I honestly think Indiana could have beaten them in the Big Ten championship playing in the West.
I felt the same way because that was the only team that had the firepower to hang with them, man.
Right.
Ooh, that quarterback was
Unfortunately,
sick. God, it
unfortunately,
was.
they don't play in the West like Northwestern, and Northwestern got the nod. The only teams that were not, you know, were not people that everybody thought was going to make it was Cincy and Coastal Carolina. Those would have been my sleeper picks already. So, and Cincinnati, for those that are watching, Cincinnati went down to Dallas and beat the brakes off of Southern Methodist, who was picked to win the conference.
They sure were. That was a
So it's
favorite at the
not,
beginning of the season.
yeah. So it's not like losses can't happen. And then to round out the rest of the 25, the top 25 was the same teams we already knew was going to be there, with the exception in the coaches poll, not the coaches, but the AP poll, with the exception of Louisiana, Liberty, who was a surprise to everybody, Ball State, and Buffalo. Yeah. Buffalo had a good season. Ball State had a good season. And they wasn't ranked at all. Made it into the top 25.
Buffalo, man, they be having some boys out there, man. Shout out to Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
Just saying, man.
So
People sleep on the Mac, man.
So just think about that. Just think about this going into this year's season. If you really looking at this, a 12 team format works a lot better than the 8 because we already know who's gonna be in the 8. It's gonna be ACC, SEC, and Big Ten heavy. Because I'm the only one. If you're going off last year's, that's all who was in there. That top 8 in the final coaches: Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Florida, and Cincy. Cincy was the only left out team. Well, they was the only loner. So I think, me personally, I think this was needed. I think it took long enough. And I just feel like this might be a better solution because now it gives everybody a chance and it tells people to shut up and just play. Because the more you complain about it, the harder it's going to get. Because you're going to lose in recruiting if you can't win.
Very true.
And here just to show you what week 0 is looking like next year, I'm pulling up the schedule right now. I'm already looking at part of it. Week 0, Hawaii goes to UCLA. First game of the season. So that's August 28th, which they call week 0. Nebraska and Illinois will be playing. And then Thursday, which would be the season starting, first big game I see, Boise State and UCF. Ohio State has to go to Minnesota in prime time.
That's gonna be a tough one. That's gonna be a hard one.
Wow. Going
There
to
you go.
Minnesota for a prime time game?
Going to Minnesota. And according per ESPN.com, Ohio State will be playing Minnesota on Fox at 8 p.m. And then follow that up on Friday.
Wow.
Just think about this. Follow that up on Friday. North Carolina goes to Virginia Tech. Michigan State plays Northwestern at 9 o'clock game. And then Saturday, we kicking off for real. Saturday, September 4th, we kicking off for real. That'll be the big slate of football everybody's playing. And you've already brought this up to me, Smooth. Bama goes to Miami at 3:30. You see in the number. You seeing the number one team. So do and again, I
some
don't
good
want
matchups
anybody
next year.
Right. And I don't want any.
And Georgia play Clemson next year too.
Exactly. And I don't.
It's gonna be
For the sake of not getting yelled at, because I know somebody gonna have a problem with this. I don't want anybody out there thinking I'm biased for Ohio State, even though I'm a Buckeyes fan. I'm biased for the fact that they actually took the time to listen about the playoff. Because you see these matchups and all these questions gonna get answered by the time week 2 roll around.
Mm-hmm.
Period. By the
Mm-hmm.
time week 2 in college football rolls around, a lot of questions gonna be answered. Will
Yep.
Bama lose? Will Bama lose to Miami? I don't know, but it's gonna be a hell of a game.
Yes, it is.
Will Penn State has to play Wisconsin at noon? Like, just
Wow. They're trying to give it to us early in the season.
Yeah, they
Right.
is. They is.
First 3 games of the season gonna
Yes.
be. Ooh, wait.
And they throwing out sleeper games too now, because I'm looking at this ESPN lineup. Louisiana, who had a hell of a season last year, got to go to Texas.
Man, they are.
Shout out to Coach Mason. Shout out to Coach Mason. Rage occasion. But like, just think about that. If anybody out there had doubts or had questions of why we need to go to a 12-team format or why the conversation would even spark itself, here is your answer. All of these matchups, somebody's gonna lose. And in college football, it's not about who you lose to, it's when you lose. Because if you lose in October, ain't no coming back from that. You lose early September, you got a shot. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, Miami pull off the upset against Bama. Bama got a shot to get back in there. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up, man. Because you figure, like you said, you lose early in the season like that. It's a non-conference opponent. And with them having a lower ranking starting out in the season, and that happens to you, okay, you're like, all right, we took that L, whatever, we'll keep moving. It's a boost for Miami, right? At the same time, Miami still got to see Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
And with that scenario happening, Alabama's like, well, all we got to do is win the SEC, we'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? So you got this little thing where you can maybe take that L and, like you said, still get in because you're winning your conference or whatever, right?
Not only that, it would be a quality opponent. And that was what the BCS
it's a quality loss. That's a difference.
Yeah, and that was what the BCS was all about. How many quality opponents you got on your schedule? How many of them did you beat? How many points did you get off of them winning?
It's going to come back to that a little bit. A little bit's going to be in that top 12 still.
And just for the sake of this, because I know somebody going to bring this up. Sunday, September 5th, in the same week, Notre Dame got to go to Florida State. So the top four teams from last year all got games within the first 2 weeks that they got to worry about. Exactly. Everybody got trap games.
Everybody got a trap game. Every single team that we talking about got a trap game.
Yeah, everybody got trap.
First few weeks of the season too, it ain't gonna be no situation before it was like, okay, we're gonna have Ohio State play, Southeast Missouri State,
Hell no,
at the
ain't
Horseshoe.
none of that.
Week 1, ain't none of that happening no more. It's like, no more.
None of that.
Week 1, you need to be ready for week 1. You don't no tune-up game. Just you do something first week. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. It also eliminates that whole situation like Bama wanting to wait till the last week of the season to play the Citadel, and stuff like that. I hated that year. I was like, what are y'all doing? Seriously? The Citadel? The last game? Like, come on, man. Like, that ain't even right. I mean, the hopes is already squandered, and then you're going to take the last game and just pounce on them. Like, that was just wrong. I'm sorry. I had to put that out there. But,
no, you good. You good, because I hated that too when Clemson did. I was like, why?
Disrespectful, man.
That's a stats game. That's a stats game.
Yeah, man.
That's Patty stats up.
Somebody trying to get their draft status up. They draft numbers.
So here's a week 2 game that I want everybody to pay attention to, because this is going to tell you whether Ohio State can make it or not. There's another team out west that's coming here. It's going to be at 12 noon, and it essentially was supposed to be last year's game.
It's duck season.
Oh
It's
yeah.
duck season. It's duck season.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, yes,
Oh man.
Gonna
Oh
play
man.
some duck hunt. Gonna play some
yes,
duck hunt.
yes, yes.
So again, I feel like this conversation was needed. I'm sticking with that, and the schedule as of right now is proving. I'm not gonna say it's proving me right, but it's proving that this conversation needed to be had because clearly the way that these schedules are looking for every top 10 team,
Everyone.
somebody need to come up out these games not losing.
And they might catch somebody slipping. They might catch somebody slipping. Hey man, it's college football, man. We already know somebody gonna slip. Somebody gonna slip. It's
Right.
gonna be a whole bunch of this talking when it happens too. It's gonna be a whole bunch
Like college basketball, you get in the middle of the season, you get the ACC Big Ten Challenge. You think
Mm-hmm.
you think college football can get to that? Like, all right, you the number one team in the ACC. Last year, you play this number one team, and you know what I'm saying, you keep going down, and that would limit some of the wins and losses too.
See, I would love that. I would love a TBD game. Like you don't even know who the opponent is yet
Yes,
until the
yes,
final like game of the season. You go, oh, okay.
yeah.
So we
How
in
can we
week
play them?
6.
Yes,
We
yes,
playing
yes,
them. Okay. All
yes.
right. All right. I like that idea only because you figure the way it is now, it's so heavy on your division or your conference or whatever. And you're like, all right, let's say you're, in the Eastern Division or Western Division of the SEC and all that. So okay, if I'm Georgia, I'm gonna have to play, of course, the same slew of teams. You got like Kentucky and Florida and Vanderbilt and Tennessee and all of that. And you only really worry about Florida. Let's just be honest, right? You get through them, and then you're like, okay, we should be coasting to the title game because it's always like that. They need to really
Yeah,
shake that up anyway. I've been saying that for
yes, yes.
years. So you got something like that, but to have a game like that in the middle of the season or like game 6, whatever, and you go, you know what? We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna take one break away from your conference, right? And we're gonna put you
Mm-hmm.
against this other conference that we know would be a good matchup. So I would say, like, let's say you do like you said, like an ACC Big Ten thing, and then maybe like a SEC, Big 12, something, middle of the season or whatever, man. Like that'll be dope.
I would be all for that. The only problem is that it never happened.
No,
It's
it
gonna be
Yeah,
too
won't.
many.
yeah,
It
yeah,
won't.
yeah. Nah, nah,
It
It's,
won't.
nah. It won't.
It's
it's
too
gonna be
much of
too
a
many
good scenario.
complaints. Oh no,
Yeah, it's true.
I'm all for that. But the problem is, it's gonna be too many complaints. Bama gonna want everybody to come to them. Clemson gonna want
Yep.
everybody to come to them. Ohio
Yep.
State don't care long as it's a neutral site. All right. Well, who do you
True.
call it? Whose stadium is open in that time frame
Yep. And that's something
to
I
give
will say
everybody
about
what we want?
And that's something I will say about OSU. OSU will play anybody. And like you said, if it's neutral, they'll do that. Because, like, the last time I saw them do something like that or give a team a shot to play was when they played Toledo. And the neutral site for them was Brown Stadium. And, with that happening, it was like, okay, cool. And they didn't have to actually go to the horseshoe to play. They
Man,
actually
that
just,
was a
okay, let's just
mercy.
meet up
That was a
here.
mercy move. That was a
Yeah,
mercy
but
move.
at
Hey,
the
you want
same
to take this
time,
ass whooping here, or do you want to take it in Cleveland?
yeah, that's true too. But it was cool to even see them like do that, because they didn't have to at all. They didn't have to do that. They could like, you know what, you want this money, you know where you got to
Oh
play.
yeah, yes, yes, yes,
You know what I'm saying? You want this money for your program. You know where you need to play, because that's where it talks, man. They be like, you come in here because we can afford to have you
Well, if
come.
you well, if you give me $750,000 to take an ass whooping, I come to Ohio State too.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Dig that.
I wish
I'm
that
just
was
All
being
our offer at Ohio
right,
Western.
man.
I would have well, yeah, we go up
Man,
there.
we'll play the JV. Come on with it. Take that. We'll take that 50, 60 point ass whooping. Give me that 300. Give me that 800 grand.
man.
I need it after the game.
Right. No, we need that check before the game.
Yeah.
Give
Need
me
that check.
half
We need.
now. Give me half after.
Oh no, don't give me half nothing, nigga. I need that check right now. I need to know the money's real. What Richard Pryor say? How much you say it was? We'll prove it. Bring it over.
Man.
Speaking of, you know what, Rio? Speaking of OMW, I thought I'd bring this up because it brought back some good memories.
Oh man,
Our only team picture.
Man, we look good though. I ain't gonna lie, we look good. You know what I'm saying?
The ugly ass white helmets though.
Man, hey, that was probably the first time everybody came to practice.
Yeah, it was. I believe it.
Practice.
I think it was. And then in this one, I think this was the Thomas More game.
Dang.
Yeah, I think that was the Thomas More game.
Hey, you still got those pictures, man? I'm gonna need you to send them to me, man.
I got a few of them. Matter of fact, I had another one, but I couldn't find it in time for the show because I got like 8,000 football pictures. But yeah, I'll shoot them over to you.
We had the mask on. We had the mask before COVID on. I think I had.
Oh yeah, that was the one in the locker room. We were supposed to play. Alfred State, and then they ended up forfeiting because we ain't even gonna get into that, man.
Yeah, man.
This came all the way from New York just to forfeit. Like I don't understand that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Hey.
Now we had some exciting game. No, remember the racist black ref at Wilmington who kept flagging us?
What game?
Wilmington. When we went down to Wilmington.
Wilmington?
We had this. We was beating the brakes off Wilmington, but of course it's Wilmington. So what happened was, I think Rio got a pick six. I think Thaddeus had a pick six, and somebody else had a fumble for a touchdown, and all three of them plays got called back. So this guy with the Cincinnati Reds hat, he proceeds to say, "Dang, ref, all we was doing is playing. Why don't you let us play?" What does this ref do? Flags us. Okay, that's fine. I think you're taking that a little personal, but whatever. So we all headed to the sideline. Somebody said something else. Oh, y'all still talking? Throws another flag. All right. I didn't know refs carry 2 yellow flags, but whatever. Somebody else said something on the sideline. I don't even know how he heard that. Oh, y'all gonna keep talking? Another flag. Like, dude, how many flags do you got? Like, I get it. We was beat, man. We beat Wilmington so bad it wasn't funny. But at the same time, man, let us play for real. Like, you throwing flags. I didn't even know. Yeah. I ain't know refs had that many flags, bro. Like, it's on camera. He flagging.
I think he just, you know what I'm saying? They was paying the refs, so because that's how the refs get paid. They get paid by the home team, I'm guessing. And we wasn't a home team, and we was doing them so bad, they just, all right, we got to throw flags.
Nah,
you know how it is.
What it was we was an all-black team coming in there beating the brakes off the Quakers.
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say that.
I say it.
I didn't want to say that.
Matter of fact, they were so bad. I threw a 2-point conversion pass in that game.
Man, listen, it's funny you say that, Mel, because that take me back to them games we used to play against Bay Village and New Philadelphia. New Philly had it out bad for us, man.
New Philly ain't want to come to the hood. That's why. New Philly knew what it was.
They knew what it was for real, man. It was cheap,
New Philly,
bro. Especially me on the line. Let me tell you, man.
Hey, you get a bunch of black dudes, 6'6", 300 across, man. You don't want that issue.
They was cheap. See, the thing is, when you're in the line, you're in the trenches, man. You don't get to see a whole lot. These cats was doing illegal elbows and checking to see if you got the cup on. You know what I'm saying? And diving at your ankles and all kind of stuff. I'm like, what is this kind of thing? I was trying to be cool about it. So the coach was like, you know what? Next time they dive at your ankles, smash their face mask in the grass. Face first, every single time. Just do that. I
Yeah,
said,
man,
okay,
they ain't want us to
okay.
win out there.
No, they
They
didn't.
don't. It's just like Wilmington. You let Mount Union put 60, 70, 80 on you, but an all black school come and you wanna flag the hell out of them. All black. Everybody scored. We scored off of every way possible. Pick six, kickoff, long passes, long runs.
I think they
It
even
was
scored for it. They even scored for it. They
yeah.
ran.
It
They
gave
did
us
a
a
safety.
safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave us a couple safeties.
Throwing us touchdown passes and wasn't even
You,
chasing us.
and the ref mad at us because your team sucked. Like, come on, man, you can't take it out on us. Can't take it out on us.
Did you play the last game of the season?
I think that was the Alfred State. I think I missed the first two, and then I played the rest of the season. I
Kentucky,
went. We went.
Kentucky Wesleyan, the dude from Jacksonville. We played against him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All
And
the.
that boy,
You know what's? He was a bad boy. He was a bad boy,
that
but
boy.
the team itself was terrible.
We was in the game for the first 2 quarters. I'm thinking, like, if I ain't
Yeah,
mistaken,
we
we was in the
was.
game, and
And
then
they just started giving him the ball. Look, man, we need you to come on, put our ass out the fire, man. Come on, do what you do.
reverse and deep balls. I mean, he played for the Jaguars, so nothing we can do about that.
It's all right. It's all right. We all got our ring somehow. I just thought that that Wilmington game was like the funniest game. I had never, as a team, I had never been on a team that got flagged just for asking the ref a question. Like,
Yeah,
and
that's
by and
crazy.
by a black ref. The ref was black. He was the one black ref on the field.
I remember now.
You
So he was
you
so
would
he was out there like
you
Uncle Ruckus, huh?
pretty
What?
much
Yeah.
you would have thought. I'm like, I know one of them flags was mine because I was like, dang man, you the only brother on the refs crew. You would have thought you'd have been on our side. What? I
I I knew I
I
had a
won't say
I
nothing
had a
else.
I had a couple Ashland. I had flags. That game, Pikeville
Man,
had a couple flags. I was just
Ashland
it was just
Ashland ain't want
flags
that
all over
smoke,
there.
man. Ashland ain't want that smoke, but it's okay. If the school was back up, we'd have gave you some payback, guaranteed.
I go back if the school was back up. I'll go back and play another year.
I would too, just to see Ashland again, just to see Ashland again. That
Yeah, I'm done. I'm retired. I'm
I put
healthy.
on the icy
You know
hot.
what I'm saying?
I put on the icy hat on one leg, the tiger bomb on the other.
You
Let's
gonna have
get
to
it.
put
Let's
you
get
gonna
it.
have to switch. You gonna have to switch position because I don't know if you still got it at corner.
Oh no, no, I'd have been back at safety like Woodson. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for y'all to throw that boy down here this way. It's
Man,
cool. It's cool. We had some fun, man. We had some fun.
we
And bus
did. We
trips
did.
and bus trips sitting up there with Coach AD
Yeah, Coach AD.
with the with
He just threw two. He just threw the winning touchdown pass yesterday at the summer program. They beat the
I
Dukes in
understand.
overtime.
Wow. Shout out to Coach AD, the only coach who would call a play and nobody but him understood what the play was. All right. What I want you to do is I want you to throw the 9 you know what I'm saying? And he gonna be open to the, and you gotta throw that thing like you throw that thing with the 9 man. You got them yams. I'm like, wait, what?
Go ahead,
Man.
just go ahead,
Just
do it,
just
go
go
ahead.
run the play.
God
Man,
damn.
I'm this is how I knew. This is how I knew this was the best play.
Uh,
This is the best way to call plays. I caught myself trying to eavesdrop and try to ear hustle the offense at practice one day and try to eavesdrop the play. And I didn't understand nothing Coach AB said. Nothing.
mm,
And they ended up scoring a touchdown that play too at practice. But I didn't understand nothing he said. I was like, man, how do y'all niggas understand what he's saying? Because I ain't understand nothing. And they just scored.
But those was his young boys. Them young boys that receivers was his young boys. So they've been playing with AD since they was young. So when they came there,
Man.
it was like blah 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 blah, and they all do the route. And we on defense like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
you ain't had no choice but to say that, man. You didn't have a choice but to say that because you was so confused.
Yeah,
Listening to
but
Coach AD had you confused about football.
Hey, Coach Junior wasn't no joke either. He put us in the right
No, he
spot
wasn't.
too. Yes,
And that's the only thing that saved us. Because if it wasn't for him at practice, we'd be looking bad.
I wouldn't even be there if it weren't for him.
Man, the way y'all explain it, man, y'all make it sound like Boomhauer had a coaching job. You know what I'm saying?
He did.
He did.
Boy, we like, say it's a little something like, yeah, I'm going.
Man, look,
you know what I'm saying? Like, what?
I'm gonna invite Coach AD on the show one time, and I promise you, when he get to going, you ain't gonna know what he's talking about, but you're gonna be like, yeah, I get you.
You were like, yeah. Like, yeah, me. Then you'll like it, man. I'll tell him about this show. I'll tell him.
You gotta put the means and the so-and-sos and the yams. Like, what? Are we playing football or are you hungry? Which one is
it? Oh, man.
That's cool.
All right. That concludes this episode of 4th and 15. We like to thank Rio for being on. Great guest. Friend of the show.
I appreciate it.
Next week, we will be back to our regular schedule. And I'm going to throw something in for next week. I want to have a trivia time because whoever we have on, even if we got live comments, I want somebody to chime in because I want to see if somebody can get. I've been having this trivia question for the longest, but I'm not going to give it away till next week because I only think that's fair. But it's going to have to do with football. So if you're going to cheat, go do your studying now. Whoever it is, I know it's always one person to cheat.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna do that next week. We will be talking about the NFL again in the NFC North and South because there's a lot going on in both of them divisions. And I know the AFC North plays the NFC North next year, this season. So it's gonna be a lot to talk about. So. With that being said, for 4th and 15, I'm Mel. That's Rio. That's Smooth. Peace.